Ben 10 Dynamite #1, Easter eggs explained. Guys, I'm really excited to find out how this issue went. I know nothing about it at this point, except for the fact that you guys told me it was here, so let's find out.
All right, let's get started.
All right. General review. All right, perfect. That's
we
exactly
open on
what I
an
need.
interior shot of Vilgax's ship. Though to newer audiences, they might not identify this as Vilgax just yet. The ship looks a lot bigger than its animated counterparts, and
it's very cool, though. Very comic-y. I like it.
Lacks the organic attributes that complement his cyber squid aesthetics from the classic series. But the artwork itself is really gorgeous. You can already tell Vilgax has a lot of powerful assets at his disposal. His dialogue has a wobbly black outline with a slight reddish-yellow tint.
I've always liked that about comics.
After bragging about burning all of his enemies to death, he speaks on the only weapon he fears that could overpower him.
Now, is this a reboot, guys, or is this like continuation? Or does he get defeated? I can't remember. But anyways, answer that. I don't know if this is a reboot or what. Oh, and also put down in the comments if you liked the issue, if you read it and you enjoyed it, and why, what you thought of it.
We will come to know as the Omnitrix. We then head to Earth, identified with establishing text using Adobe Asphalt. The font used.
Okay, it sounds like it is.
We then head to Earth. Weapon he fears that could overpower him, which we will come to know as the Omnitrix.
Okay, so it is a reboot, I think.
We then head to Earth,
Next question, is it an identical reboot, or is it like its own thing?
Identified with establishing text using Adobe Asphalt, the font used for the Ben 10 logo itself, though there wasn't any establishing text for
I was like, why is that worth mentioning? Okay, it's been
the previous scene, though, but it was pretty clear we were in space. Now we get the main trio of Ben, Gwen, and Max, all around a campfire.
Cool.
The rust bucket is much larger than its previous counterparts. I'm surmising due to all the alien tech hidden inside of it. Yeah, I still think this Max is a plumber, too. Or at least whatever this version's equivalent is going to be. Especially this.
Okay, so they're definitely going to take some creative liberties, do it a little bit different. That's cool. That's cool. I like that.
Line he said.
That's why I love Superman origin stories. I've read so many of them, and I love it whenever they just tweak things and do their own thing.
Later on when crazy stuff starts going down, but we'll get to that. We established that this time around, Max wants to take the kids on a road trip to show them the America you can't fully experience on screens. Which is a nice reflection on how kids have changed in the past 20 years since the classic series.
Yeah, it really is, because it's like, hey, did y'all know there's outside? You know, that's kind of what's happening.
Games and TV has always been a big scare to adults for decades before that, but in the smartphone era, it's a completely different beast than it was in 2005.
Even when you go outside, you're still playing video games and TV.
Expected, Ben and Gwen are fighting, or at least that's what we're supposed to take from it, but reading a little more diligently, it seems like Ben is being a lot meaner to Gwen, with practically every line he speaks. But when Gwen
oh, is he going to get set straight almost?
Retaliates by implying that Ben's only here because his parents wanted to get rid of him, he doesn't take that well and storms off into the woods. Meanwhile, we get the military's perspective on the Omnitrix entering Earth's atmosphere, setting them up as major players in the story this time around.
And in the cartoons, Ben finds a watch and he's immediately a superhero. In those first 3 comics, Ben finds a watch and he's immediately a target.
As the Omnitrix arrives and crashes into Earth, this makes Ben feel strange just being within the vicinity of the device, as if its raw aura is giving off a vibe that's affecting Ben physically.
Is it choosing him, maybe, or something?
Our first hint at this new cosmic horror theme that this comic wants to do. The Omnitrix
Cosmic horror? Guys, I don't like that. I'm not a horror fan, never was.
Up onto Ben's arm and latches onto his wrist before he can do anything about it. I think it's notable that it appears the Omnitrix chose to clamp onto Ben's wrist, whereas in Classic, it seemed to only do that because Ben reached his arm outwards. And it's presumable that it could have.
Judging by what I saw, not knowing much, right, guys? Because I haven't reacted to the show yet, but that's coming. It kind of looked the same to me.
Latched onto any part of Ben, like how Azimuth wore it as a belt. Also, I should clarify now that for one,
he would have to. He's barely as big as that thing.
I do think it's important to judge Dynamite as its own independent run away from all the other Ben 10 series. It's clearly trying to tell its own story with its own continuity and even act as an introductory point to get new fans to care about Ben 10.
Well,
However, as a fan of the franchise since it came out, I can't help but make these comparisons, and I feel like they're kind of cool to point out in a video like this. So yes.
Dude, as a Superman fan, I totally get it. Like, I absolutely geek out and love whenever I'm comparing old, new, this and that. The difference between me and a lot of people is, though, I don't hate one version and like the other more. They're all just different, you know? I mean, they're all just different.
I'm going to continue to compare Dynamite to everything else, as it's pretty much unavoidable. If I'm not going to do it, y'all are going to do it anyway. It's just how long-running franchises work. But Dynamite still deserves to tell its own version of the events as well, and we should respect that. But on the note of comparison, it is cool to see these events more or less play out in the same fashion that Ben Prime went through as well. The military...
I like that they didn't go just for the comic, because they're not doing just like the comic. They're doing different.
Terry then arrives sweeping the entire forest, with Ben cowering behind trees to deliver his signature.
Man!
And as Grandpa Max goes looking for him, Ben is confronted by a massive bear with technological implants. While trying to calm down, Ben accidentally...
This is definitely horror, guys. Definitely. That bears are scary as is without them being cyborg bears. That is nuts. And the way they're drawing Ben turning into forearms is absolutely crazy.
Accidentally transforms into his first alien form, forearms. The transformation is detailed, gross, and exactly what I've been missing from Ben 10 that the later iterations lacked. I also love the detail that his speech bubbles are surrounded by a red outline. I also love that Ben immediately tries to fight this bear now that he's a big, beefy red guy. Really says something about his character and also allows us as the audience to jump straight into the action. He also seems to be handling the extra set of arms quite well, potentially hinting that this Omnitrix also allows the user some bare minimum instinct on what...
Wait, so in the original version, did he not handle new stuff well? Like, is that he kind of had to learn? Because I've always wondered about that when they say, like, he could beat Superman or Goku. They're like, a lot of people point out, he wouldn't have trained, you know, like he wouldn't know. That stuff you have to learn. Even Goku, his whole story is based on that, you know, like he trained to be more powerful than they're naturally supposed to do.
What each transformation does. There was barely a learning curve, if at all. After a brief battle, Ben reverts back to human, while the bear still wants some smoke. But
guys, I don't know what it is. I look at Ben 10 stuff. I get so excited. There's something special about it. I don't know. I can't wait to react to that on my side channel. It'll be about a month or so. I got a lot to do. I'm not going to launch it with just one video. I want to make sure when it launches, it can get plenty of watch hours from people.
Almost immediately, Ben transforms back into an alien, this time Heat Blast, gearing up for round 2. Heat Blast's speech bubbles are also outlined in red, though his outline...
I thought his name was Hothead. That's not right.
Lines are very uneven, with the bubbles themselves tinted a burnt yellow. Unlike Forearms, who seem to be a good match for the bear, Heat Blast easily overpowers the bear, burning it enough to send it running away. Also notable, Ben doesn't actually call them Forearms or...
I guess since he was a... cyborg bear, it's not as like bad seeming to set a bear on fire.
Heat Blast yet. We just know that because we know the show. And it's very unlikely they're getting different names in this continuity. The army is still in hot pursuit, tracking Ben's
I like this dude's voice. I always have. He's got a good voice for this kind of stuff.
Leftover destruction, led by Colonel Rosum. But back in space, we get a shot of Vilgax's ship, which is incredibly different from the Chimeran Hammer. But it's...
What is an almighty alert? Almighty alert.
Still looks pretty cool. And as we end on the final page, setting up...
We get... That's pretty... Guys, okay, I want you to tell me in the comments, what are you thinking of this new art style? What are you thinking of Vilgax specifically? And what are you thinking? You know, the way Ben and all that too, but what do you think of this art style? This is really cool looking to me. He's messed up. He's battle-scarred. Like
Vilgax as the extraterrestrial enemy in addition to the military. By allegedly random chance, Ben has now become a target on 2 fronts. On Earth and in space. But he'll never stop until it's okay, because he's the baddest kid to save the day. We know the song. Overall, I think it's a solid first issue. It's basically a lot of setup for characters and future storylines, which for longtime Ben 10 fans can feel a little slow, as we're already very familiar with his origin at this point. It's like how Batman fans complain about how every movie has to address the death of the Waynes. It's like, yeah, we know, we've seen it. But it's...
You've seen it, but it is important, because the stuff that transpires later in all these movies, you kind of have to be reminded where he's coming from.
Still important to take in, as there are changes, like the military now being involved, and then whatever the Robo-Bear ends up being. I'm sure both of those things will become a lot more important later on. And if you're a new fan...
Yeah, and he just got away, didn't he? He didn't get killed.
...fan who has never seen Ben 10 before, this does a pretty good job explaining what Ben 10's all about. Kid finds a watch, turns into aliens, fights monsters, pursued by a space squid, on a road trip with his grandpa and cousin. That's Ben 10. I'm on board with the new art style so far. I'm not completely in love with it yet, but it's certainly emphasized.
Well, it's very comic, and one of the things about comics is you can spend a lot more time on making it look good. Cartoons, there's a reason they don't look that good. It would take forever to animate.
Is the tone they're going for, and some of the action looks really great. On the other hand, nothing jumps out to me quite yet. I feel like it's missing some type of iconic flair to really make a lasting impression on the fan.
It's interesting you said that because I got real excited with the story. Just, it getting started and rebooted. It is the basic story that got people hooked all those years ago. So maybe he's just used to that and doesn't realize it. You let me know from your perspective, people who've, already been fans and everything else. Because to me, I was very excited listening to it. I haven't even reacted to the show, remember? I've just learned a lot about it. So that's kind of how I feel. I thought it did a pretty good job.
But again, we're only one issue in. Let's give it some time to grow. Might also help to see more scenes taking place during the daytime and outside of the woods. I do wish it had its own unique logo rather than reusing the 2016 one, especially because the reboot's bright and bubbly logo seems to clash with the aesthetics of everything else. But from a branding perspective,
I like the little kid one that I've never seen the show, but the people hated that reboot, it seems. But it's very well done. It reminds me of the Spider-Man shows that have done so well, for all those little kids.
Understand why they kept it.
Wait. I saw some aliens in there. Very cool. Those aliens look cool. I forget what the azimuth alien is called, but he looks weird.
Everything else. But from a branding perspective, I understand why they kept it.
Character design.
So far, Ben Tennyson is exactly how you might remember him. He loves collecting Sumo Slammer cards. He's antagonistic towards
That's something I didn't even know. That's cool.
And he has an innate sense of bravery at such a young age. The impression of his personality is clear, though with a tight 20 pages so far, we're still learning a lot about him. He spends most of the issue either upset or scared, so I'd love to see him in more non-detrimental scenarios like the campfire scene to get to know him a lot better. Though he's a lot more level-headed than his Prime counterpart was. He recognizes the danger of using his powers, whereas Ben Prime just started burning shit down because, what else are you gonna do?
Only an idiot can set the forest on fire. Now out of my way!
As for his design, sometimes he looks pretty good, especially in that promotional Ashcan released a month prior, but the shape language feels a little inconsistent between shots, so sometimes he looks a bit wonky.
That is difficult in comics. Some people get it right and some don't. Like they draw their resting face and you see them, you recognize them. And any emotions they put, sometimes some of these people, the emotions, it's like it's a different person. You know what I mean? And some of them are really good at it. Some of them just, they still have more to learn.
Could be said for Gwen. Like, this specific panel has been memed on ever since we got the promo pages. I'm also still not a huge fan of the off-center shirt stripe, but hey, it's different and I'll respect that. As for Gwen, I like the idea of making her an alien conspiracy theorist. This has the potential to allow her to be tied more directly to the story at hand rather than just tagging along until she gets magical abilities. If they even end up doing that in this
they might
continuity. And Max is a lot tamer in this first issue. Classic Max was very lively and wholesome. And while I wouldn't point the other direction and say this Max is tired and bitter, but he is a lot more reserved and a typical older gentleman so far.
Well, he is the old dude trying to take these kids off their devices and take them out to see America the real way. So, I could see him being a little bit like, this world, nobody pays attention to nature.
There was a lot to cover in this first issue, so I'm hoping his personality gets to shine in future issues. Folks have already compared his design to the Lee Majors portrayal from Race Against Time, and whether or not this was intentional, I'll always have love for a heftier Max. Keeping the fishing vest from the reboot was a nice choice, but
in comics, they do that a lot. They take people that should have a little belly and stuff, and they make them like Perry White. They'll often make him like strong and young looking, except for his face. You know what I mean? I don't know why.
Lost me by nixing the floral pattern shirt.
I think it's because when artists study anatomy, as a professional artist, I can tell you this: you're always doing that peak physical form. You don't branch out of that very often. You do it, but you're always trying to get that peak physical form. And I think that's just a natural go-to.
That's the most important part of his design.
But the same shirt.
Hey, when you find a look that works.
He's just so far removed from the Max we know, it's gonna take some getting used to. The glasses are fine though. Now, Forearm's design is passable for me. I am pretty biased. I was never really a big fan of Forearms to begin with, and not gonna lie, this version doesn't really help that much. His clothes are a lot more Earth-like with
Isn't that like his go-to, y'all have told me? So he doesn't like his go-to.
Wrinkled sleeves and armored boots, opposed to ones that either resemble a uniform or standard Tetraman attire. And if I could nitpick a little more, I wish we got a stronger pose for his first appearance. In the show, you can feel Forearms' immense strength with every flex of his muscles. And even outside animation, in this still image, his transformation pose screams power. Whereas here, he's just kind of standing.
Yeah, one's looking up, the other one's looking down. I didn't judge it that harshly. I see the flexed muscles, I see the physique. I get he's a big fan, so I get it.
I'm willing to accept that this is done on purpose to portray Ben's confusion over what just happened, but from a pure artistic standpoint, I think his reveal could have been stronger, quite literally.
Okay.
He also doesn't have that scarf-like cloth that some artwork depicts him donning, so I'm wondering if this is something he'll achieve later, and how the mechanics of adding clothing to aliens will work. For Heat Blast, in a box, I think he looks cool. I'll miss the facial expressions, and his segments resemble.
I think the upper looks pretty cool. The skinny legs is a little off to me. The skinny waist doesn't bother me too much, but something about the legs is a little off to me. But the upper, yeah, the upper looks great.
Rocks rather than metal armor, but I'm still cool with it. I really don't have much else to say about him. Nice job. I don't have much to say about Colonel Rosem either, other than it seems like such a wild pull to have him this early.
You could pull either one of those out and put them in either, a cartoon or a comic, and it would just fit with whatever general position or colonel or whatever you're looking for. You know what I mean? It's just standard military attire.
Early in the story, where you wouldn't be offbeat to expect this role to be fulfilled by Lieutenant Steele, but it was a nice surprise that they're already pulling from the Ultimate Alien continuity too, not just the classic and reboot. Though this might be a little room splitting, Vilgax is perhaps my least favorite design.
Yeah, it's room split, dude. I'm not a true Ben 10 fan yet. You got to watch the show, which I will get to. But that's cool. Maybe it's because I've read a lot of comics. I like the art style. I can see familiarities of a lot of different artists that I like, and I think it's cool. His head is a bit tiny. His traps are a bit big, but because of the squid face, I feel like it really works. If you take the squid face off, doesn't work. It looks strange. Looks like he just has a shrunken head. But I like it a lot.
So far. The golden glove and boots, the much more human-like physiology, the gym shorts. I gotta be real, this isn't doing it for me. Previous show comparisons aside, even in isolation, I'm just not vibing with this design. I don't know what it is, and it could just be me because we only have one real panel to judge it by so far, but I'm not a fan. Overall, artwork is pretty solid, designs are pretty solid, but my love for it isn't there yet, if that makes sense.
Okay, that is really interesting because as I hate to call people are calling me a fan in the comments. I hate to call myself a fan because I'm like, I haven't seen the actual show yet. I'm pretty positive I will love it because I'm telling you, everything I learn about it, I like it. But from the position I'm in, right, I'm feeling just from what I haven't read the comic either. From what he's showing me, I'm like, man, I'm digging it big time. Like, you guys let me know what you thought. None of you have told me if it's really like, you haven't given me your true opinions on it because you don't want to spoil anything. So you can hear and let me know because it looks good to me. He's a big fan. I get that. Logic of the Omnitrix.
While it's mainly hidden by all the smoke, it looks like the Omnitrix arrived to Earth on its own and not contained in some type of protective pod. Though a previous shot makes it look like it is contained in some sort of asteroid.
That's what I was
thinking. The classic counterpart did show a shape-shifting ability reminiscent of Venom Ooze. This time around, it snakes up to Ben in an electrifying long tube of wires before tightly coiling around his arm. This is very different than anything we've seen before. And while in all of its animated counterparts, the Omnitrix more or less had a specific method on how it works, not just to make it easier to transfer the design into a merchandisable toy, but it also helped the audience connect to the device a lot more. The first episode of Classic even had a direct breakdown on how it works.
Yeah, if you don't understand how it works when they start doing things and, breaking things and doing amazing things, you lose a disconnect because you're like, oh, I didn't realize it works like that. You know what I mean? Like, if you have consistency, that helps a lot.
Press this button. When the ring pops up, just twist it until you see the guy you want to be. Slam it down, and you're one of 10
showing you exactly how that works, which I'm assuming he's about to say in the comic. It's
super
not.
Cool alien dudes.
We didn't get that here, and we don't really see how Ben uses the Omnitrix other than slamming down the dial. The alien selection procedure is completely skipped. Now, not to sound like a broken record, but again, this is only issue 1. And with the new cosmic horror element teased as the main draw for the series, perhaps they are intentionally hiding it.
That's the only thing I'm not excited about. I could do without the cosmic horror element.
Functions to maintain mystery. Then again, the Ultimatrix was pretty unclear with its operations at times as well, but I still like to learn about this Omnitrix and its specific mechanics.
It's funny he said that because that is when I see y'all in the comments bicker a little bit with each other because you don't really know exactly what its things are. I've even had people asking questions just today about specifics of the Ultimatrix they're fans. They've watched it. You know
as
what I mean?
much as I can. Are they going to do silhouettes? Are they going to do holograms? Are they going to do their own thing?
How does this work?
It also seems to keep Ben as an alien for a much shorter period of time than what we'd expect. Unless Ben really was fighting that Robo-Bear for 10 whole minutes. Which,
you know, it's hard on comic pages to represent time like that. So, I mean, you might let that
possible,
slide.
as with comics. The pacing has to be much quicker in order to fit as much story as you can within a reasonable monthly release. In general, comics just are paced faster than animation. It's up to you to interpret the slowness of the story beats and the pacing of the characters' dialogue and everything. But on the surface, it really does seem like Ben just turned back to human pretty quickly.
Man, I just think it looks good. I think it looks really, really legit. I really do.
The same goes for his cooldown to recharge too. He jumps right into Heat Blast after timing out, after barely any time passed. So unless we're gonna chalk everything up to the breakneck speed of pacing that's necessary for most comics, I think it's safe to assume that Ben's transformations and cooldowns happen much quicker than it did in Classic.
I haven't read it, but comics, man, they're just different. Like you don't know how much time passed. You don't really like they have to tell you stuff like that, you know? So I don't know. It may have been an oversight from them being like, man, maybe we should have had him in passing say like, that was the best 10 minutes of my life or something. You know what I mean? They just kind of didn't do it.
There's also a cloud of steam that follows him off after a fresh change, both to and from alien form, which is a nice touch. And as stated earlier, the transformations seem to affect him physically and mentally. I'm curious if this is just Ben getting used to the transformations and he'll eventually overcome it, or if this hints,
or they really are going the horror vibe and it's going to physically alter him so that he ends up being some ridiculous monster.
You know? Towards a storyline later on.
I will appreciate
Ben
these,
brings
even
up
though
a
I won't
golden
get them.
sumo slammer card, something his classic self was
No idea.
passionately after in the classic series episode Washington, B.C. Gwen's bag has a cat logo on it, mirroring her classic and Omniverse shirt, as well as her Lucky Girl alter ego. Ben makes a lot of modern references to help emphasize the current time period too, like Google and Freddy Fazbear from Five Nights at Freddy's, as well as the term rage baiting. We also get yet another version of this iconic shot of Ben witnessing the Omnitrix arrival, and let me just... yeah, there we go. Connections to the reboot character Cybear have been made between the monster Ben fights in the woods. And while they are both bears with robot attributes, I'm not exactly sure this is specifically...
Really? I'm 99% sure as someone who's not a fan. And I keep saying not a fan, guys. I only am saying not a fan for the sake of people that are like, you're not a fan, you never seen the show. Like y'all been following me. I'm getting into this,
supposed
you know?
to be Cyberg. Cyberg is a friendly figment of Ben's imagination that is intelligent enough to speak, whereas this robot bear acts like a vicious wild animal and exists
I'll bet there's a connection, regardless.
in the real world. My guess is that this bear was infused with some sort of Vilgax's bioid tech, much like Rojo was in the classic episode of The Alliance.
Oh.
Either that, or this is a very early tease for
He is, after all, looking for that for the Omnitrix, right? So he could have sent something to like protect it or something. I don't know.
Dr. Animo. As I said earlier, Ben's yet to start naming his aliens, but we do get hints towards their future monikers, as Ben claims he has 4 arms to fight with, emphasized by bold text, and a soldier calling the aftermath of Ben's attack a heat blast, which means when Ben eventually later calls this alien heat blast, it'll be an amazing coincidence. Also, Max mentions wanting to go to Mount Rushmore, where in the Prime series we later find is one of the secret headquarters for the plumbers.
Right. I do recall that. I am bad at remembering things, but I do recall that. You guys know I have the memory of a goldfish, as you have said in the comments. Community conversation.
Just like in my animated breakdowns, I have some polls I'd like to discuss with y'all. But first, I'd like to highlight some fan art. For each one of these videos, I'm going to be highlighting some Ben 10 fan art made from this Dynamite iteration, as well as 5YL fan art too. Because of course,
I should do some Superman fan art highlights or something. I should do some sort of Discord or something where you can post it.
I'm never going to stop talking about 5YL, right? Episode 14's coming this summer, and it's going to be a big one. So let's see what the community's been up to. First off, we have Banana Man 2Qs. Really digging this. Looks like they're doing their own Dynamite
Banana Man.
cover. And all of these poses are reminiscent of some of the classic series art we've seen over the years.
Wow.
Except we got You Fools. You get to see the main Ben of each series walking along, and here comes Dynamite Ben strolling up.
The names, except we got You Fools. What?
Up to join them. Happy to be a part of the Tennyson's new legacy. I just love how adorable this one is. We got Sir Falcon, who did this piece of upgrade wearing clothes.
I love the
to be
style.
reminiscent of Jack Kirby's work. You can see the silhouette of Mr. Smoothie in the background. And I love this.
Let me know which of these fan arts is your absolute favorite. I like that first one a lot. This is cool.
Great classic comic book feel to it. Next up, we got Lomsey, another custom cover. This one, another classic series reference to the comic book cover that we see at the opening of Gwen 10. The shading on this is great. Really makes all the characters pop. Spawny made this whole animation. Big fan of his work, too. It's this little POV promo of Dynamite Gwen getting the Omnitrix.
There is some talent out there, guys. I wonder if I can find a way to display y'all's talent.
Which looks very hard to animate, but he pulled it off very well. Really good stuff. Its Animatrix also did their own Dynamite cover. I chose this one because this looks straight out of the actual Dynamite artwork. Diamond Head striking the solid pose. If I saw this on a shelf, I'd buy it. Last but not least, the fantastic Ryan Gray made his own real-life Dynamite Omnitrix. Super good stuff. I've been following him for a while and even purchased some of his things before. And recently played a few games of Ben
3D printed, probably.
10 Fortnite with him over on Stan Hanrahan's channel. You can check that out in the link below. And as for 5YL fan art, Franco made some really cool pieces. You see Ben and Danny posing strongly together. Danny in his new outfit from episode 13. And then we have an awesome shot of Alien X versus Divinity. You can just feel the energy in their pose.
I can. I like the colors a lot.
I like the rings around Alien X's forearms. Next up, we got Slash, who I'm a little biased for. I've been following her for quite a while as well. Her art is just so good. Incredible with their line work. They always make Divinity look amazing. And my bias stretches further because I was recently gifted these custom 5YL pillows as a wrap gift. Yvonne and her put this together as a surprise for me. And check this out. They even flip over. Isn't this super cool?
Nice.
You're going to be seeing this in the background of my videos from now on.
He's flipping us off.
Artist in Training is coming through with a 5YL poster here. Looks very Omniverse inspired, but with the 5YL designs. You can see a transformation from just about every iteration of the show. Malik Hippie's out here also with an Omniverse inspired art style, drawing Lula, and she looks fantastic in this style. I like how it's their own interpretation of an Omniverse style Citricaya, rather than completely copying Derek's version. And finally, a shout out to Omni Spider, who not only did I do a collaboration with a few years ago, you can check that out, link below too.
Cool.
But they also did their own 5YL fan video in full cosplay, mind you, which looks fantastic. And they transform to Mentacle. They even do
that kind of stuff is fun.
A little power blurb on the side. It's really cool seeing stuff like this brought to life. Lots of really great artists out there. If you want to be featured in the next video, make sure you tag us on social media with your Dynamite and...
Guys, it's really cool that, you know, Ben 10 is like coming back alive. I jumped on at a very lucky time because, you know, things are not just in the past that I can look at, but there's new stuff coming along, and like people are getting all excited. It's really cool. It's a great time to be into Ben 10. Remember, guys, like Superman, live humbly, do good.